Okay, you have to love it when your technology goes wrong. So this is take two, as I am trying to follow through on something that I promised to a couple of you, but then also said I was going to share it with the group because it's something that we all need to learn how to do. And that is properly citing. So I'm going to show you how to do this, and then I want you to experiment with it. I want you to just try. I am not going to take points off of your work because you have tried to work with these citations and have made some errors. This is not easy to do. I remember what this was like. I have had to deal with more than one format, and I am here to say, yes, it is a pain in the neck. So short, why do we have to do this? Because colleges and universities actually, now Southern New Hampshire, maybe a little less so, but Vassar, Notre Dame, University of Southern California, University of Central Florida, Hampton, Howard University, Morehouse University, I can keep on going. University of Texas. These are research institutions. They get the majority of their funds in most cases. Now, private colleges, not so much, but definitely if they're public, if they're receiving public funds in many cases, it's actually not student enrollment that's giving these colleges and universities the most money. It is research dollars, endowments, which are donations basically, and research dollars, which often come in the form of donations as well. So what are the colleges and universities for? Yes, they are to get you going in your future as a professional. But if you consider the degree programs, well, you have a bachelor's program, then you have a master's program, then you have a PhD program. At the master's level and the PhD level, what you are learning to do is you are learning to not just be a consumer of information, which you are at the bachelor's. At the bachelor's, we just kind of give you information and we have you think about it. Your production is just simply in processing the information. At the master's level and the PhD level, you are starting to generate information for people to consume. And so in doing that research and generating your conclusions from your research, you are producing information out there for the world to make use of. That all has to be laid out in certain formats. So legal studies requires a certain format for writing and publication. Humanities, like for me, I'm an educator. So in the departments of education, all educators use APA 7. Because that's what education requires in their different publication formats, their journals, when they're publishing books and things like that for education, they are looking for APA. Another one might use Chicago. Art studies might have a certain type of way they want you to lay out your publications because it's very different. You're talking about art history, things like that. And so the requirement is different. So we're going to use APA. That is one of the formats that Southern New Hampshire requires us to learn how to use. So, why APA? I don't know, because somebody told us that's what we're supposed to do. So what I did was I just kind of made up two sentences so that you can see kind of two different approaches to the why. So my first sentence, one report by Stacy Johnson in 2019 found that cultural awareness upheld the hypothesis that students perform better when their academic curriculum and learning environments support their identities. Okay, well, I very clearly am getting, I'm kind of parroting something that I read. a report by this Stacy Johnson person. She wrote it in 2019, and her findings were that cultural awareness upheld the fact that students perform better when their learning environments support their identities. Okay, so great. Stacy Johnson in 2019. Well, which one? How many? I don't know how many things she might have published in 2019, and which report are you talking about? And it's not enough to just say, okay, I'm being, a good student. I am giving someone credit for this is not my idea. I'm getting this from someone, and I'm telling you who I'm getting it from, and I'm even telling you what year their work came to this conclusion. But that's not enough. We need to know in exactly what document did you find this? In your textbook? In your, where did you get this? Okay, so that's where the reference becomes important. So you can see down here I put references, and this is what you would have at the end of your paper, and it really should be on its own separate page. You don't put your references just at the bottom of the document, a couple of lines from the last paragraph. You scoot it down and you create its own page. I just didn't do that because I want everything on one page so that you can see it. But when you do this, you're going to put a space and you're going to just hit enter, 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 enter until you get that references down on its own page. If you also notice, what I did was I have two articles. I have one by Bowen here from 2021. This is a website. I just needed some information that backed up what I was saying, and so I went looking. I just started to do an online search, and I found a nice article from an official magazine. You cannot pull sources from just anywhere. One of the things you have to learn is where you can get a credible source from, and you cannot get a credible source from any online source. I would warn you to kind of stay with the major, like Newsweek magazine, New York Times, Washington Post, somebody's Post Gazette. Like, you can use newspapers and magazines. You can use an encyclopedia for sure. And then they have online encyclopedia. That's fine. You can use Webster's as the dictionary if you are quoting a definition of something. You want to stay away from people's, what do you call those things? Blogs. Do not use blogs. You need to use official, published sources. So the Newsweek magazine, like the major magazines and newspapers, encyclopedias. Also, you will find articles published by like University of Southern California. If they are colleges or university news sites or journals, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so I found this Bowen online, and then this Johnson. This is one of actually mine, one of my publications. Notice that Bowen is coming before Johnson because in your references, you need to have your authors and titles in alphabetical order. If there's no author, sometimes it'll just be the title of the document or the title of the web article. I'll just call it that. Sometimes that happens because sometimes we have things that are published, particularly online, for news or journals that actually don't tell you who the author is. The journal is actually the author, and they might have many authors, and that's just how they do it. So you're not always going to have a last name to use, and that's fine. Your citation generator will lay it out for you, so you won't have to think about it. But you only are ever going to use this first word here. In most cases, the last name or the first word of the title that's hanging out here. It's this end piece that you're going to use. So Bowen, 2021, Johnson, 2019. I don't need the J. I don't need the October 21st. I don't need the S. I don't need any of that. Just the first word and the year. That's typically what we use. All right. So back up to my little sentence here. One report by Stacy Johnson in 2019. So first thing, I can take out the 2019. I don't actually have to have that in there. I can say one report by Stacy Johnson, and then I hit a parenthesis. Johnson wrote this in 2019, close parenthesis, I'm done. And this tells the reader, I've already said it's Stacy Johnson, so you know the author that you're looking for. You just need to know that the year of the article is 2019. And so the person can go down here and go, Johnson, oh, 2019. Oh, okay, this is where this author, this writer, this student is getting this information from. They read Accidentally Relevant out of the Currere Exchange Journal. Okay, so that's how you do that. If you really want to keep the in 2019, and again, you don't have to have it. You actually can just leave it like that. One report by Stacy Johnson, or you can say one report by Stacy Johnson in 2019. You go to the end of the sentence and you get in front of the punctuation, in this case, the period. In front of the period, in front of the exclamation mark, in front of the question mark, always in front of. And we hit that that little parenthesis there, and we say last name, Johnson, comma, 2019, and we close. So that's why we don't really need this, is because when we put our citation in, oops, put a little space there. When we put our citation in, it says Johnson 2019. So you really, this gets a little redundant, but you can have it if you want. It's just really up to your taste. Now, let's say that Johnson wasn't the only person who was kind of finding this to be true. Perhaps Bowen, in Bowen's article pretty much upholds this as well in my first sentence. So now I have two authors to cite for the exact same conclusion that I'm drawing. Well, we don't want to put it behind the Johnson because that's out of alphabetical order. We want to put it in front of Johnson, and I do that with a semicolon. Boop, there's the semicolon with the sound effects. So I'm going to do the same thing, Bowen, comma, 2021, and then my semicolon is there, and the semicolon separates the list of authors that I'm drawing this statement from. Okay? And so that's how we would do multiple authors in alphabetical order. Now let's take a look at a different kind of sentence where I'm not giving credit to anybody in particular. It's just a thought that I have, and maybe it's coming from my own knowledge base, which is really great. And folks, I am here to tell you that we do know stuff. We really do know stuff. And it is very frustrating that once you get into school, someone says to you, well, I acknowledge that you know stuff and I appreciate that you know stuff. But when you're writing and you are making your statements, you don't have the kind of clout to be able to make a conclusion that is unfounded, that is unsupported by research. That is very frustrating, because if we're having a conversation with our friends or with our family or with, just somebody, we're standing in line talking to somebody in a store or whatever, and we make a statement like this, students feel safer when they have a sense of belonging and they stay engaged in their work and they do better. And somebody would say to you, you know what? I found that to be true myself. In fact, that person might add to what you're saying. I also found that when they feel valuable, when they feel like the teachers value what they have to contribute to the class, and their classmates also value what they contribute to the class, I find that also really makes a difference. It made a difference for me when I was in school. You see, we know stuff, but unfortunately, we cannot make statements, just broad, conclusive statements, when we're writing for school that are not backed up by some research somewhere. Some published author has to support what you're saying in order for it to be academically valid. Now, in the circles that I run, folks, we are combating that. We are challenging who gets to determine what knowledge is valuable and what knowledge is not valuable. And so there is quite a bit of pushback coming from that argument. Also, quite a bit of research is we're starting to demand that research have, I guess, a broader, more diverse collection. So, we might number crunch, but maybe we might interview, or maybe someone just might tell their experience and that gets published. We're starting to diversify how we collect knowledge even. But for right now, we just have to be good little robots and we have to do what we are told to do. Otherwise, we do not have a credible piece of writing. Okay, so I know it's frustrating. It just is what it is. And this is one of these moments where we just humble ourselves and we just do what we're told, what we are being taught to do. So sorry, hold on one second. That is my dog going crazy. So if, for example, if you're reading your work and you read something like, let me get her to hush. Hold on. Hey. No, come here. I'm recording. Come on. Sorry about that. My puppy is my alarm. How are you going to know when you need to cite and when you don't need to cite? So I read this sentence: students feel safer when they have a sense of belonging. Is Dr. Johnson going to ask me, well, how do you know that? Where did you get that from? As you're writing, read your sentences. If your sentence is a sentence that's going to cause Dr. Johnson to say, well, how do you know that? Then you need a citation. If Dr. Johnson's going to say, where did you get that idea from? You need a citation. If you are talking about an experience that you had, in my family, we blah, 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 or it has been my experience growing up in my neighborhood that da, da, da. You don't have to cite that because that's an experience that you had. That's fine. But when you are drawing a conclusion like this, students feel safer when they have a sense of belonging, that's got to come from somewhere. So the Bowen article just happened to be the article that allowed me to say this, because the Bowen article backs up what I'm saying here. So sometimes you are making a statement because you already read something. Other times you're making a statement and you're like, uh-oh, Dr. Johnson's going to bust me on this. Let me go and do a quick internet search and see if I can find a legitimate article that talks about this very thing and supports what I'm saying. So I'm going to go to the end of my sentence again, like I showed you, and I'm going to put a parenthesis and I'm going to put Bowen in. Bowen. Again, 2021, I don't need anything other than the year. I close my parenthesis and I'm finished. Okay? So, how do I do this reference stuff? I need this in order to be able to do my parentheses. So I don't know how to do this. Well, you have a couple of sources. One is, now I put EasyBib here because I use EasyBib. EasyBib.com, I believe, allows you to do a couple of free citations. You can see this is my Southern New Hampshire folder that I keep stuff in for Southern New Hampshire. I've got my tab indicated for APA 7. You got to make sure that you've got APA 7. And then you hit the create citation and you can drop a web address that you pulled out off of the top bar. You can drop that in there. You can drop an author and the title of a journal article or a book, and it'll do it for you. It'll find it and do it for you. I think that your Turnitin tool that Southern New Hampshire uses, I think Turnitin will allow you to do this as well. And so you would need to contact your academic advisor to see if they have a citation generator that you can use for free through Turnitin. And if not Turnitin, then you've got the EasyBib. The other thing Oh, and you can see the Bowman, you can see that I just dropped the website in there and it generated this for me. And notice the indentation here. You really are supposed to have an indentation in your reference pages. You can see these two authors. The author's last name kind of hangs out to the left, and there is a tab indentation for everything that comes below the author's name. That's actually correct. It's more difficult to do once you get it in your paper, because what ends up happening is that the website addresses here, they have their hyperlink to them. And if they are hyperlinked, it has to stay together as it is, because it is linked to something. So when you try to move it over, it wants to shove everything up against that hyperlink, and it won't always do it for you. You have to take the hyperlink off, unlink it. I'll show you how to do that. If I go here to the link and I highlight it, and then I am right clicking, you can see down here, remove hyperlink. If I do that, it ignores me. Come on. Oh, all right, this is giving me static. Come on, we're doing a demonstration. Let's do it. There we go. So now it's removed the hyperlink, so it's nothing but text, and it should allow me to shove stuff over. Let's see if it'll do it. Yeah, it still doesn't want to. Anyway, so you want to play with this thing. Definitely remove the hyperlink, and then if I put an enter here, well, I don't want to keep you guys, but anywho, you can get this to move over so that it is indented. Purdue OWL. Purdue OWL is generated by Purdue University. It is a free source for MLA, APA. It tells you everything you need about properly citing, in fact, properly formatting a paper. You just, again, you have to make sure that you're looking at APA. You've got to set it for APA. And then it won't just give you this. So you can do a citation, you can see, and it'll let you do it for free. So same thing. You can just put your title or put your URL in here. This drop-down box will give you website, book, magazine, newspaper, and it'll generate it for you. So you don't have to worry about a whole lot of stuff. You just have to let it generate it, and then you cut and paste it into your assignment that you're submitting. But you can see the address up there, al.purdue.edu. This will give you the citation, but it will also give you instructions for every aspect of writing a formal paper in APA format. Multiple authors, what to do if a source doesn't have an author, what to do if there are multiple authors on one document. What is that supposed to look like? Because now it's not simply Johnson S. in 2019. Now it's Johnson and Smith and Juarez, and you've got multiple authors. Well, now what am I supposed to do? It will show you how to do that as well. Okay, so this is a resource you can use through your whole college education. Okay, that is it for now. Hopefully that gets us going. And again, I want you to try it. Please try it. I will not penalize you if you mess it up. I will just correct you. And if I have to do another video because I'm seeing multiple people and certain types of things we need to correct, I will do that too. Okay, there you have it.